Guys, I'm back in another video, guys, and I'm really proud to show you guys that I had the biggest week ever. I mean, I finally went out, a breath of fresh air. Finally, 4 months of lockdown. This is really stressful, but guys, I have something important to share with you guys. So in honor of Black Lives Matter and the protests and the racism that's becoming a bigger of an issue than the COVID-19 right now, I decided to share with you guys a storybook that I picked up when I was in London. It's about biography of Martin Luther King, and it's one from the series called Little People with Big Dreams. So it's a biography of Martin Luther King. So I decided to share with you guys the story, and let's read it together, shall we? Alright, so the first part of the story we have for you today is, alright, so first page says, little Martin was a spiritual boy from Atlanta who came from a long line of preachers. His dad was a preacher, his uncle was a preacher, his grandfather was a preacher, maybe he'd become a great preacher too. So as you can see, yes, Dr. King right here, he's a preacher, and he's teaching some students of every color, you know. See, there's one white person, there's 3 black people over there, and he's teaching them preacher, so he doesn't judge anybody for students because he welcomes everybody to learn. One day, a friend invited him over to play. Martin was shocked when he was asked to leave because he was black. That day, he realized something terrible was going on. So as you can see, Martin right over here, he wanted to play with his friend, some football or a soccer game, I believe, and all that. But he was told to leave because of his skin color, which was so shocking to him because he didn't know what to do. He was scared and all that. And this quite happens a lot most of the time today, and it's really sad and all that. So it's quite tragic. And all that. So the terrible thing was called segregation. It meant a public place like restaurant and buses had separate spaces for black and white people. Martin and his friend were sent to different schools. So back in the 60s, you see Martin Luther King here. When he was a kid, he wanted to go to school with his friends on the bus, but he was asked to be back on the bus separately because some buses were not allowing black people to sit, because some public buses like this is only for white people, and there are some buses for black people, which is quite unfair. So by the time they made them equally together, unfortunately, it has still some racism and segregation. Black people were told to sit in the back, and white people were told to sit in the front, and all that, seeming that they're more superior than them, which is, of course, tragic, but, you know, this is history, and it's back in the old days, so we're more progressive than we've ever been now. Martin believed that one shouldn't remain silent or accept something if it's wrong. He promised himself that when he grew up, he'd fight injustice with the most powerful weapon of all, words. So Dr. King decided that it is his dream to become a preacher in the church, in Westminster Baptist Church somewhere in Atlanta, and he was ready for it because, of course, most of his family members were preachers in the church, and he was ready for it. And he says the most powerful weapon of all is words, and there definitely are. You know, they say that weapons, mouth and your tongue are like weapons. They hurt. They're like bullets. You know, they hurt when you say something that's equally insensitive. Martin studied at universities in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, where he read about Mahatma Gandhi, the man who had improved lives of millions of Indians with peaceful methods of protest. And as you can see, he did. When he was in university, he went to the library, and he read some fascinating stories about historical figures, kind of like what I do usually when I was in the library. I used to read a lot about history, and as you can tell, Martin was really inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and all those people. As Nelson Mandela even was inspired by Gandhi and Dr. King himself. And then he got really great friends there. So by the time when he finished his studies, Martin moved to Alabama and became the pastor of church in Montgomery. Every Sunday from his pulpit, he encouraged his congregation to speak about things that mattered. Now I don't know much about this page, for no offense, but I don't know anything about this page. You can see he's addressing some facts about what's going on right now in church. We usually do it like every Sunday church. And that's Martin over there talking to some of his fellow African American people in his community. And he's ready challenge the part. And Martin Luther King did face a lot of harsh criticism himself when he was trying to fight segregation. One evening, a woman called Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white man on a bus. Martin asked the people in his community not to take the bus again until the law was changed. So if you guys don't know, December 1st, 1955, there was this lady, African American lady named Rosa Parks, who sat in the front of the bus, which she was not supposed to be sit, but she was supposed to sit in the back, because that's how the law works right now. These days, used to do that now these days, but when she was asked to give up her seat to a white man in the bus, she refused for the first time ever. Someone bravely, an African American person bravely, responded to that criticism. But then, of course, like all harsh reality, she was arrested and charged. So Martin Luther King applauded that, and he told his community not to take buses again because of that discrimination until the government decides to treat them equally and fairly. Many citizens were inspired by Rosa's story of Martin's work. Suddenly, buses were almost empty. They stayed empty for more than a year until segregation of Montgomery buses finally ended. So a good accomplishment happened to Dr. King himself. He protested the bus segregation, and until then they responded. So more than a lot of 150 buses in the United States and the South were felt empty for more than a year to show the harsh punishment of treating black folks unfairly. Until then, the bus segregation ended, and now everybody can say whatever they want equally. So at least that was an accomplishment Dr. King thought he could never see in his lifetime, but he did, and that was really good. It was the first major civil rights action in America, but not the last. Martin encouraged people all over the country to stand up for their rights and join in with peaceful protests. All of this was led to this moment. See Dr. King right here, and a lot of reverence, and some people were protesting, doing the I believe the "I Have a Dream" speech, which was one of the most historical moments, in American history, where finally Dr. King said "I have a dream" speech, where of course a lot of people where 4 of his children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And "I have a dream" was really like an inspirational, most powerful word he ever said in his speech, because that's what his speech is about: hope and dreams. They were often attacked, and Martin was arrested 29 times, but he and his followers never fought back with force. He knew that hate can't drive out hate, only love can. And of course, like how so many people, Martin Luther King was arrested himself by the police and taken to jail because he broke some laws that he shouldn't have, but at the end, he really should because of the unfairness that was going on. Martin helped to organize a protest march in Washington where he gave a life-changing speech. It began with 4 simple yet powerful words: "I have a dream." It's like I mentioned before. Here he is in the Washington Monument speaking to a crowd of thousands, and he gave the most powerful speech yet, which is "I have a dream" speech. And all that. And he taught some stuff like what Dr. King told us, not to judge people based on their colors, but by their character, which is true. That's the only time where you judge people, by character and personality. The next year, Martin became the youngest person to win Nobel Peace Prize. His words of hope, peace, and justice called the nation to change its laws and make them equal for everyone. And at the end, of course, Martin won the Nobel Peace Prize, and he got his wish that he wanted, and all that, and he really achieved that goal for bringing change into the world. That's really good. And if you listen to your heart, you can still hear little Martin asking you to keep his dream alive. A dream of a world where we are judged by our character, not by the color of our skin. Let me check. Yeah, that's the next page. So as you can see, the group of diverse people of color all over the world are coming together in one, quoting Martin's dream, "I have a dream." And Martin Luther King definitely had a dream of uniting people of color and not judging them based on whatever the context of their color is, but only their character. And so, people, it's really important to know that Martin Luther King really was an astonishing figure in all of American history. All that. And the next page is a list of books and all that, and then Martin Luther King's biography and everything. And that's it, people. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned a lot from it. I really enjoyed this book. I'm so glad that I bought it. I really recommend it for anyone. I'm pretty sure most of you have a lot of Martin Luther King biographies at home, but this one was really special. This one's really good. I really like this one. I know that. And history is really powerful. That's why it's my favorite topic. Anyway, guys, if you guys enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe. Take care, guys, and peace. Many more videos to come. Goodbye.